Hey, everybody, and welcome to our third episode of the Gavel Strikes. I'm Brian Wiedman.
I'm Xavier Chavez.
And we have a special guest with us today. It is
Rick Akers.
Rick Akers. Rick works with us. He's also at Rick's Neat Stuff on Instagram. Always had some great stuff. I actually graded some of your books before you started working with us.
Yeah.
I didn't have you as a client, but I was told to, grade these. So,
and what did you think?
Of course, they're golden age, so I love them. They're always great.
Yeah.
And so Rick is with us because he has some great showcase auctions coming up, and we want to showcase those. We have a lot of things to show you today. So without further ado, we're going to get into kind of Xavier's stuff. We're on a little bit of a time gun today. I don't really like that, so we're going to kind of rush things through.
Just a little bit.
Maybe a little bit of less playful. We're just going to keep going.
So currently we're running a key auction showcase, and that is going to end tomorrow. And some of the highlights of that is both new and old key comics. And I'm going to start off with
everything you guys want.
Yep,
is going to be in that auction.
Basically, and I'm going to start off with the comic that started off Marvel Comics is Fantastic Four #1. And again, this is a really high grade 8.5.
Only.
And I think it's over 6 figures already. Again, the comic that started all, white pages, which is kind of unheard of, especially with a white cover, which most of them were. It's very difficult for this not to be yellowing and stuff like that. So
we're staining.
But that red is deep.
Yes,
it is.
And again, the greens and all that stuff, and against the back, it's a beautiful white book. So that's there. Another book that's in there, and probably the most popular Marvel book, is the first appearance of Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasy 15. Again, beautiful high grade, 7.5, and that one is also, I think, 115 currently, and this one is off white to white. So, but you can see again a very desirable, perfect.
Any Marvel chipping on
there? No, there is no Marvel. It's just a little bit of stress up here, but there is no Marvel chipping.
It's very unusual to see, this book. Even in a 7.0, we see them with a little bit of Marvel chipping.
Yeah.
Pretty nice centering on this too.
Yeah. So, and again, here we're going into the newer comics, and I picked these two because they have shows either currently happening or shows in the works. And this is the
Good
first.
luck finding this one.
This is the first appearance of Grendel, a really hard book to find. Comico, 9.6 white pages again, and just a beautiful book. There's going to be a show coming out, so this is very desirable currently. And again,
I have to ask. So on that book, it's black cover, and we all know how hard black covers are to keep. Rick, you used to have a 9.6 or 9.8 Crow #1, which are infamous for fingerprinting.
I once had
against the wall right now.
I once had 30 copies of Crow 1 first print. Yeah.
But those books are infamous for fingerprinting, and we constantly get asked, "Oh, do you need gloves?" No, you don't need gloves for comics, except for a Crow #1. You do need one, possibly for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
the Valiant,
the Solar Man, and the Atom. But the question is, do you need one for the primer? Because that is an off company. Does it have inferior inks? I don't know. Yeah. I've never held one. I've never held one outside the case.
It's pretty matte color. It's not as high gloss as those other ones. So
you don't have to worry about cutting through the.
You might want to just on the safe side on this one. And one of the last ones is, again, there's a current Invincible show, and this is the first appearance of Invincible, and a 9.8, great new modern book to have, and very hot.
One of the best comic reads you can read if you read it from front to end. I sat down and read it because of the TV show. I wanted to know more about it. I actually was very impressed.
And this is the writer of The Walking Dead. This was his first creation in Image. And it's actually his Superman tape. So it's great story.
Love it. Well, great. We do have a lot of content coming up, a lot of showcases. All of a sudden, we just kind of threw them all together. When we develop these showcase auctions, it's kind of whatever we have a theme for at the time. and we just happen to have a Baker, theme. We have so many key comic books in general that we decided to put a showcase auction together for it. We've got the Fiction House auction. We've got a memorabilia auction coming up in October, and the first one went so well with the Superman auction. We decided to throw another one together.
There's going to be a Batman auction coming up.
There's going to be a Batman auction coming up. There's
these kind of niche auctions where you have a chance to kind of fit into your category of collecting. It kind of allows you to spend a nice afternoon, early evening watching, exactly what you're interested in.
Not only that, but it's also a great way to sell your items.
And it's
a great way to auction your items.
Again, a concentration of that genre.
And a lot of questions we get is, do people run out of money? No, don't run out of money in these auctions. They are there for the long term. They get them when they get them, because we don't just put any old thing in them.
Yeah, I think when I came to Heritage 3 years ago next month, I had been a collector for a long time, and I had been interested. I had been buying and selling, and I had worked with Heritage a lot, as you said, and consigned with Heritage, and had great experiences. But I was on the CGC boards. I was in these different places. I think at that point I was already in Instagram, and you kind of begin to feel like that community of people is kind of all there is. Oh, it's not. It's not. It's a much wider base of collectors than what you'd see even on social media. No offense to all the social mediaites, but there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of private collectors. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, there are a lot of people you don't know about who don't show off
their stuff.
Right.
Don't show off their
artwork.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they like to have their private collections, and only a few people would know about them. It's in the art community, it's called black hole collections, because you don't know what's in there. So
yeah, so when you're within a smaller community, like even Instagram as being a larger community, but the CGC boards being a smaller community, you begin to feel like, well, that must be all there is, and so that you get that feeling like, well, is the money going to run out? But it's so much broader, so much wider, with 1.5 million bidders.
We have such a wide range of category
and a
crossover, like sports, and sports buyers buy a lot of comics. We know coin buyers buy a lot of comics. We know comic buyers, the high-end comic buyers, buy a lot of sports and other memorabilia. We just have that crossover. That's why we have 24 or 42 departments now. 44. I can't even keep track anymore. We've increased it by like 6 or 7 since I started. One a year, it seems like.
Yeah, it's definitely been like one a year.
Yeah. Okay. On to, I think, what do you want to do? Do you want to do your artwork, and then we'll kind of segue into my stuff, which will segue into his stuff?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that'll work.
That'd be fine for me. So again, these are some of the weekly pieces that are coming up, and I've been with again strips, and this is a great Jack Burnley strip of Superman, 1941. Under $500 currently. You don't have Superman, but you have this beautiful woman. Again, this is more for art's sake, and you have the story going on with great imaging, great background, cross hatching. Again, just a beautiful piece for what it is.
And more word balloons than are normally in a strip.
Again, the plot.
They really loaded this one.
So again, 1941, under $500. You can't really beat that. So, and next here, again, going a little bit quick, but
this kind of ties into kind of what we were saying is you don't need to spend a lot of money. I had this conversation actually yesterday with somebody I know, and he kept saying, I can't afford the art that I want. That's not true. And I was trying to explain to him that is not true. You just have to know what art you can afford, and you have to search for it. Kind of like what you've been showcasing every time we do this. It doesn't need to be the best of the best of the best, because everybody wants that anyway. There are pieces out there that are beautiful pieces.
Again, I'm a big member of the Comic Art Fans and with artwork, and there was a particular piece that came up for a member showed off, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Spectacular Spider-Man page where Peter Parker as Spider-Man was with Black Cat. And I found it very interesting, especially the commentary under it, where It's a page where Spider-Man is revealing himself to Black Cat, saying, "I'm Peter Parker." And she has this reaction where a member said that it turned him off at the comics at the time because when he showed her that he was Peter Parker, she shunned away, saying, "No, I love Spider-Man." He said, "I love you, Black Cat, and I'm Peter Parker." And she turns away and says, "I love you, Spider-Man."
Yeah.
And Peter kind of takes the hint, puts the mask back on, and says, "Okay, let's go." And that kind of turned off the collector. And when you further read the comments, this is where I'm getting to, is one collector put the situation on, "We are all Black Cats," where we just want the hero in costume on our comic book art. And I was just like, wow, that is a good idea. And I was just like, that's exactly who we are. We're all Black Cats, where we just want all the heroes in costume. And there is so much art where it's Peter Parker, I'm going to give an example of a filler page where it's art for art's sake. It's a beautiful scenery, it's a beautiful landscape or whatever, but it's a filler page in the story, but it's by the same artist and everything, and it tends to be drastically cheaper than Spider-Man in costume or Captain America in
But
costume.
if you don't have the money, and this is kind of the debate, so, if you don't have the money to spend $50,000 for a cover, $25,000 for a great splash page, you start small. And so people trade up into those pieces. And I don't know as much detail about your collection. I've seen pieces and everything, but I would assume you did the same thing. You didn't start out by spending $50,000 for a piece of art. You traded into those pieces, right?
Again, you do.
They are obtainable.
Every comic art collector at one point becomes a little bit of a trader / maybe not so much of a, say, dealer, but they will have a lot of friends in the community where they know where it's just like, oh, this guy's looking for this. I can probably use the funds for this and this page, and all of a sudden I have 10 or 15K that I wouldn't have initially, and now I can spend and buy a cover.
And I think that's true for comics as well.
Instagram has helped that a lot, because it didn't used to be that way.
I have a term for that whole thing. I call it delector.
Delector, I like that.
That again is, and it's like I did with my Devil 1. I started at a 7 and
coined it first time here, just so hashtag delector.
Again, Daredevil 1, I started with a 7, I got into a 9. A lot of comic art, I started off with pages and eventually traded them up with, again, selling and putting a little bit more money and getting a splash or a half splash or a cover.
Right.
So.
Yeah, everything I have today started with one initial sale of some things that were in my basement that I had had for several years for $5,000. And I did exactly that for several years on a pretty aggressive basis.
You were spending more than a full-time job doing it.
I was probably
on top of your full-time job.
Yeah, on top of my full-time job, it probably was pretty close to another full-time job. But just moving, things, doing those kinds of trades, making those kinds of deals, selling things. And it was funny because over time, as I got more and more built up, I began to see, as I consigned more and more to Heritage, and I don't want to make this too much of a Heritage commercial, but as I consigned more and more to Heritage, I'm like, wow, I'm actually making more than I was, even after I gave Heritage their commission, I was having more left over than I was doing my own deals, because sometimes you would think, okay, well, this thing should be $2,500, but
you hit the jackpot every once in a while.
But every now and then you hit
$5.
And you're like, okay. So anyway, that was kind of my process too, to get from an initial small investment up to where it came to be.
And again, it makes sense. It's just
And go back to the commercial comment. We do love Heritage. Like, we work here. I drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago. I do talk about Heritage a lot. I talk about Heritage when I'm not at work, and the reason is because that helps me get collections in. It helps people who have that in their attic, go, or I know somebody who has a comic collection, and you wouldn't believe how well that, that translates into the real world, just talking to people. I was at the airport coming back from Montana, and I was talking to the people across from me, and she goes, "You are absolutely lovely. And by the way, I know somebody in North Carolina, and that's where we're going, that has this massive comic book collection." Now, Nothing has come of that yet, but they did send me an email, right away, and they took my information. But just being nice and talking because you're passionate about what you do and enjoy it and love it.
It's like you were saying,
talking about heritage.
It was like you were saying it was another job. You might have been spending 6-8 hours also doing it on your free time, but it didn't feel like a job because you're dealing with other like-minded collectors, and you're moving your collection. And the other thing is that they're trading or they're buying something that they really want for your collection. So everybody's winning all around.
That's right.
It's a really different hobby. It's a really different mindset. So here's another piece, a Quesada and Joe Rubinstein ink piece. But I brought this because I got into all this because of the marble cards, and I really love the 1992 Joe Jusko marble cards. And this is 3 cards from the second series of the X-Men. And again, Quesada art. Quesada was an editor. I'm a really big fan of Quesada because of his Daredevil series with Kevin Smith and Jimmy Palmiotti. And this is a perfect style, his style, where again, Mr. Sinister is that great heavy inking like Azrael, and this is a whole team of X Factor again, and this is a whole other bad guy team. So with the back images of each card as well. So it's just a great piece. I think it's also currently under $500. I'm not sure. I'm not positive on this one, but again, under 1,000 for sure. So,
720.
720. Okay, under 1,000 for sure.
I'm a huge fan of Mr. Sinister. Huge.
Okay.
I always liked his review.
Wow, that's really pretty.
Yes. Again, this is the interior piece. It's Ernie Chang and Buscema, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Savage Sword of Conan page, and again, it's a landscape scene. It's an interior page. It doesn't have Conan or anything like that, but look at the detail. Look at that, like an ancient city rising out of the jungle. And again, the ink wash, the line work is just art for art's sake. You don't have to have Conan on the piece. You don't have to have. This is what somebody would have just drawn back in the day for fine art's sake.
It's very. What was I going to say? Bernie Wrightson, Frankenstein, plate-esque.
Yeah.
It's got so much line work.
And in the ink wash and stuff.
It has a lot of depth of field.
Yes. Again, beautiful page. Here I have 2 pieces by Paul Coker Jr. And the reason I brought these is he unfortunately recently passed. And this is like a tribute to him. And he was one of the usual gang of Mad, and this is what they used to. This is from one of the books. Each piece is 2 pages from the trade, and it's the satire of professional spotting guide for spotting professionals. And it's politicians. You get to see all the tickets, and again the secretary and the stereotypes that we have for professionals.
There's some Aragonese feel.
It does. It very much does. Again, the detail. And again, very cheap. It's from the Nick Maglin. It's from the Nick Maglin estate, and it was actually given to him. And we have a lot of pieces from the Nick Maglin estate actually, and they're running in all the weeklies. And this one was just again a beautiful double-page kind of splash, 1 image, and what he's known for. Just a perfect example. Here we have
I watched. I seen that one. That's pretty sweet.
So again, this is a full Spider-Man splash by Deodato Jr., which is a great artist, Brazilian artist.
Under 1,000.
It's currently at $1,150.
I'll take it.
But this is the type of thing that if this is cover quality, and if this was a cover, it'd be in the tens of thousands. If it was a splash if this is Eric Larson Feel or something like that, you're talking about $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, $20,000 or more. And currently, like I said, it's $1,150. Great piece. Deodato Jr. and Al Milgrom. I was going to say Sal Buscema, but it's Al Milgrom. And it's a page where Spider-Man is actually dodging a bullet from Kraven the Hunter. So, oh yeah, there you go. And the last piece that I have is a Thunder Agents page by Chick Stone. And this is, again, the last time I checked this page, it was, I think, at $115. So this is a Silver Age Chick Stone, which was a famous inker for Kirby and a famous Marvel inker. Thunder Agents page, which Thunder Agents is the famous team that Wally Wood made, and he made his Tower Publishing to publish the imprint of the teams and Dynamo and all the different characters. And again, just an amazing Silver Age, almost twice up page that is at $115, everybody. It's again, you can't get any better, and you have the hero in costume, and it repeats. So just a great page.
Black Cat wants your Spider-Man.
Great selections.
Again, and that's all in this weekly. So it's ending tonight. It starts at 6. So please outbid me on the Spider-Man.
We do a lot of bidding because we want these items ourselves. But
Yeah,
at the same time, we're like, God, we're never going to earn a paycheck if we keep this up.
Yeah, we're definitely a company of collectors.
I've already bought 2 stuff in the last weekly. There's another Bob Montana daily. It's 400 and something bucks.
I love Bob Montana. Oh,
There's Veronica in 2 or 3 panels, and it has Archie and Jughead as well.
wow.
Moves
nicely.
I'm going broke. I swear I'm not. Speaking of course, I don't think this is Fogley. I don't think this isn't Bob Montana, but
Right.
I brought we're kind of going into the new section. I actually liked Xavier's suggestion. He said, it used to be why I like these, and you should too. I think I'm going with what Xavier said. Is what?
I coined another word, so
Oh,
it's a Leeism, Stan Leeism. So
I do
it's
like the Leeism.
and it's a WWWW.
Yes.
What would Wiedman want?
What would Wiedman want? I'm going with that. I actually really like that. I really, I have to say, and the reason I brought this, I hated Archie books for the longest time.
And they were worthless.
Hated them. I hated them. And I had one when I was young and didn't appreciate it. But then I started working here. And it very well may have been around the time I was grading your collection, but I did have an Archie collection and Archie books too. And I started really reading the covers, and I started really reading a little bit of the inside, and it's just teenage humor. It's always
with some double entendre.
I was going to say, there's teenage humor, but there's a lot.
But there's a lot of that into being a teenager, and I kind of missed that. Yeah. I missed it. And this Archie 15 is up for this week. In fact, a lot of early number 25 Archies are up this week. They just started Tuesday night, so this is really just the first full day. This is currently at $1, but it will not stay that way, obviously. We're still really early in the auction. And why you should get it, because it has some great jokes to them, but just this great play on Betty, Veronica, and Archie. They always have been very good.
Archie is kind of like, I wish I would have brought some of my Archies, because I have some cool Archies. I have the Promise copy of Archie 35, which is this great Veronica cover at the ice cream parlor. It's awesome. But when you think about Archie, it's really kind of the prototype of Friends.
That's
kind of is.
really
It's like it was around there, this group of friends and hung out in this kind of love triangle, and the blonde and the brunette, and then later the redhead, and it just cool stuff. I never liked Archie himself, but I liked everybody else.
I always liked Jughead. But I will say again, being an art guy, the early Archies, I really love the way Foglio and Montana and all these guys drew Veronica and Betty.
Sure. Yeah,
it was just
Montana fan.
And it's the style of the time period and all that stuff, the hair, and you can see in the trends as Archie goes, because they were very hip on the trends.
They were, yeah.
What the styles change and the hairstyles and stuff like that. So
and
you
the
can
clothing
date it.
too.
You can date it by that.
The bathing suits, all that stuff.
So when you look at Fogley, or it's really clear that Feldstein drew some influences from some of the way he drew girls, and these early Archies, they're really great.
Especially in the hair, like Veronica's hair.
Yeah, look at the hair right there.
What's her name? The Crypt Keepers.
I know you're talking about.
Drusilla. Or the hairstyle. It's just like the same form and everything.
Okay. We have somebody doing the Instagram live at the same time, so that's why we're handing things off so our Instagram people can see these also. The next thing I brought because Rick's on the show is this Conan the Barbarian 36. It's from the Oregon Coast collection, and it kind of tells us about the Oregon Coast. You were part and parcel to. I wouldn't say finding it. You were kind of contacted about it, but the Oregon Coast collection is this phenomenal Bronze Age collection.
The Oregon Coast collection is, it's the best Bronze Age collection that I know of that's come out in who knows how long. If the stuff had continued back into Silver Age, it very well would have been a pedigree. Yeah, but it was just an incredible group of books that a collector would pick up every week at the newsstand, starting around 1968 or 69 to 1977, 78, and just nearly complete, DC and Marvel Bronze Age collection. We have auctioned off, a couple
beyond belief high grade stuff too.
Yeah,
the Marvel Spotlights were the ones that killed me when I saw all five copies of the Marvel Spotlight 5. And one came back in 9.8, and that was only the fourth 9.8 that exists. Yeah. And then two came back 9.6, right?
I believe, and
then the other two 9.4.
It was a 9.4 and a 9.2 or
9.4,
something.
9.2.
I think.
All really high grade. The
9.8 was, it shattered the Bronze Age
million. So it crushed the Bronze Age record, and that's why it trickled down. Just so you know, those prices, when they go that high, they do trickle through all the way down to 0.5. Now 0.5s are worth hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, and these books, I'm telling you, if you have a chance, if you enjoy books from the 70s, if you have a chance to pick up one of these Oregon Coast books, they are white pages, they are clean.
That's because of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, they're
We've
amazing.
talked about that.
I'm kind of blown away, honestly, that some of them didn't get 9.9, or that there wasn't a 10 or 2, because they were that pretty. And we still we're kind of like nearing the end of them, so this is kind of like your final countdown. And so
you want one of these books; they are that nice. When I show you a 9.8, this 9.8 white page is beautiful.
Yeah, they're not like oh that's a 9.8 that should have been a 9.6. It's like that's a 9.8 that what is wrong?
What's wrong with it? Right.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Okay, the next thing I have, and one of the reasons, I kind of like Xavier. I do this. It doesn't always need to be a kid book. Listen, we can show you Amazing Fantasies 15s all day long. Quite literally every week we could show you one. We could show you a Hulk 181. I like to bring things that people don't normally get to see. While they may not be expensive, they are also not as common. This Daredevil Comic 6, is one of them. This Daredevil 6, in any grade, is not an easy book. I had somebody ask me about these books as they come up, just because only the first 20 or 25 of them have Daredevil himself, and then it turns in, it's got the kid crew after that. But this is where the Claw comes in a lot of times. Was it Lockjaw? His name Ironjaw. Ironjaw comes in a lot. So these rare Golden Age books, and the early ones have a lot of bondage, have a lot of female in distress. They're pretty cheap, and get them while you can, because you may not see another one for a while. We don't see them very often, even a 2.0.
That's one of the better covers.
That's one of the better covers. I love it. But another book that, now I don't always stick with old books, although I do stick with old books a lot most of the time, because my favorite is pre-code horror, but also Golden Age books. I grew up in the 80s, so I don't necessarily like those books a lot, but I grew up with Spider-Man. He was my key. But I do remember the 90s, and there are some great books in the 90s. Personally, I'll get to one here that's coming up soon, but can you afford a Frazetta oil painting? Can you afford a Frazetta piece?
Well,
I'm not even sure I could afford a piece.
A print with a resketch.
I don't even know if I can afford that. But this is your chance to own a Frazetta signature. an actual authentic, Frazetta signature. It's on both these books. It's on a Death Dealer number 3, and it's on the Death Dealer number 4 books that are up this week that have his signature on them.
And a pretty well done version.
Very, his classic signature. Yeah. So if it were me, I would be getting these just because you're never gonna, if you're like me and you can't afford him, getting a signature is the next best thing. That would be what I would be doing.
Again,
so
art,
by the way,
art is just a glorified signature in itself.
Really?
So.
Wow, it's true.
Well, you are very philosophical.
Yeah, he's Obi-Wan ex Obi or something like that.
Again, it's a lot of sayings that once again, art is very subjective and stuff like that. And it, like I said, I always say it invokes an emotion, and it is what it is. It's one of a kind pieces, and they speak to you. So
I have been saying it for years. Now nobody believes me, and it still hasn't. The market hasn't reflected it, but I firmly believe that the 1990s Valiant line, pre-Unity Valiants, because it's kind of like pre-code horror, that once it hits the Unity crossover series, they start printing more. But the early Valiant items are not as common as you think. And I say this because I know that some of the print runs were in the 40,000, whereas Marvel was printing 250,000 at the time. I say this because I know some of the variants are 1 in 100, 1 in 50, 1 in 10s of those 40,000 print runs. So when you see the gold and the platinum variants and you see all that stuff, and Valiant was kind of the one to start all this variant thing. But I have always said, you can't ask for better written storylines than early Valiants. You can't ask for better artwork than the early Valiants. They were the new books of the 90s. And if you look back and you remember that publishers, there were 200 to 300 publishers back in the golden age. If you look back on some of those books that were, in and out of the publishing market very fast. Catman would be a good one. Mm-hmm. They only ran 30 issues. Each one of those books is incredibly hard to find, incredibly valuable nowadays. And in another 40 years, maybe it'll take that long, these will be those books. They will be that hard to find. They will be that sought after. Maybe not now, but I guarantee you at some point, somebody's going to wake up and smell the roses. And show just how hard they are to find. They're not, and these have been in the dollar and high grade. These have been in the 50-cent bins for so long.
They don't stay in very good shape.
They don't stay in good. Not only that, but if you look at like a Harbinger 1 through 6, you had to cut the coupon out to be able to get the Harbinger Zero Pink Edition. Right. So you were killing half the copies just to get the one book. Yeah. Telling you, they're not as easy to see as to find in high grade as you think.
I love that era actually of a lot of the independent books, and Valiant was the one who came out as kind of like at the time there was in the TV there was ABC and NBC and CBS, then Fox came, and Valiant was kind of trying to be they were the upstart. They were the one that came in, but and Dark Horse was doing great stuff then, and Caliber Press, but Valiant, and I love the Harbinger run. I mean, that was a great period, great books, and I agree with you that those they're cheap right now. Take advantage of them.
No. And they came out with them brilliantly. They came out with Solar Man and the Atom, and like 3 issues, 4 issues in, they introduced Magnus. Then Magnus came out 3 or 4 issues in. They came out with Rye. They introduced him, and they kept doing that until they introduced the whole line, and that's what made them so successful.
And it's also the Valiant is their creative talent there.
Jim Shooter,
you had Frank Miller covers, you had Bob Layton, you had Barry Windsor Smith. You had all these great talents that only Image probably equaled. Right. And then before that, years before, it would have been like the EC bullpen type of thing. So
I still contend to this day, and I've said it to pretty much everybody, I think that EC bullpen is the best bullpen to ever.
Yeah.
Again,
you make a good case.
Yeah. But then again, like runners-up would be Image and Valiant and stuff like that. You have a lot of people that were big names at the time doing and continue to be big names. So.
Absolutely.
Now, talking about tough
is why I brought these out.
Yeah.
when we talk about disgustingly difficult golden age, Lightning Comics, any Lightning Comics.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've held one, and I've seen them in the Gerber books. I've kind of seen them here and there, but I've never held one. I've seen the Red Dragon 7 a few times, but this is more pulp-esque when it comes to the disintegrating body. They've done that cover a bunch of times in the pulps. And poor Brandon's having a meltdown over there. What's going on? He's throwing things. That's funny. Behind the scenes bloopers going on. We'll have those later, right? But just try and find these. Getting these now while you have a chance is beyond belief difficult.
Lightning is a very tough series.
How many times have you seen it? Because
I've seen a lot of these Golden Age books more than most people, but I bet you I've only seen 3 copies of that Lightning 4. And, I don't know the census off the top of my head, but it's low.
And that's kind of for these books to be, and we have the whole run, I think, this week, and which is why I brought this out. And this is currently at $115, which is a good start for a one-day in. So don't expect that to stay that way. That will really jump.
No, these Lightnings should do very well. Yeah. And it would be somebody out there who, you're getting into Golden Age, which you should be, and you have an opportunity to put together a run of Lightning. Lightning doesn't strike twice. So you might want to take this opportunity, because I don't know when you'll see a group like that.
Well, there's the census. Can you scroll over to the right a little more, and so to tell me the total? Yeah, scroll that over. There we go. There are 10 blue copies on this, the blue labels on the census. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculously low. I mean, like beyond belief, ridiculously low.
Lightning, Banner, a lot of those series are just, really tough.
Right. So, talking about Frazetta, talking about, this is kind of a segue to Rick and
his Frazetta cover,
and why we brought him on and things like that. But I brought out Famous Funnies 209. Now, we did have the original art to this a few years ago, which I had said if I had $1 million, I would have spent the money on that. I wouldn't have cared.
That was my favorite art piece we've ever had. For me.
And that being said, I don't like Frazetta oils that much. I kind of buck the system. I'm not a big fan of his oils, but his comic artwork is beyond belief. Now this is a 6.0.
Again, I would agree. His oils and his watercolors are beautiful. Again, second to none. But I love his line work.
Yes. His
line work, it's just incredible to see. And I was able to see that piece when I had just gotten it.
You just got here.
When it sold, and it's incredible. It's just
I will piece. Still always wish I had owned that piece more than anything. Hit the lottery, because I would have bought it. Nobody would have outbid me on that.
And it's crazy. His line work hasn't broken $1 million. His painted pieces.
If that piece came out today,
I would definitely break $1 million. Yeah, I think so. It should at least.
It would. I would be shocked. But this is a 6.0. Rick wants to show off something.
well, I mean, it's pretty awesome that we have had, just in the last couple of weeks, I don't know if you guys saw this, that we had a couple of the Famous Funnies from the estate of Frank Frazetta. Just in the last few weeks, we had a 6.0 of 213 that went for 10,000 plus PP. We've had some pretty good stuff. When you said, hey, come on, show off a couple of your own collection pieces, I was like, well, I was different ways. I just thought, well, we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll just pick what has become kind of my favorite core. I really like Golden Age books. I really like Matt Baker a lot. I like Planet Comics a lot. I love stuff in the science fiction field. But I've come to really kind of zero in a lot on Frazetta. And, so this is my copy of Famous Funnies 209. And
just a 9.4.
Yeah.
CVA.
Overachiever.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is actually, I know everybody else has other covers, which I'm going to show as their favorites. This is actually my personal favorite.
That's mine too.
I love it. I just love it. Now, well, there's another one. One of the ones that I'm going to show you in a minute is real close, but that's And I love that book. And I love the series. The run he did from issues Famous Funnies 209 to 216. Those issues are just.
There's not one bad cover.
No,
there's not one. And some of them aren't as good as that one,
right.
But they're not bad covers.
No, it's a great run of covers. It's arguably the best series of covers in Golden Age Comics history. This is the one that a lot of people. This is considered to be the toughest and the one that a lot of people really, think is the best. And that's Famous Funnies 213. And this is I think it's tied for second highest, I believe. And this is my copy of that. Love that. And see this guy that's coming out here, it's coming out from getting these people. Well, he makes another appearance in the next issue. And this is my other one. This is my second favorite. You see him there on top of the spaceship. This is Famous Funnies 214, the Blood Red Moon. And it's pretty sweet. And I don't know. These books have just kind of like, if I ever were to sell my collection or I had to move a bunch of stuff to buy something else, I think these and a couple other books would be my last one. So I love this stuff.
See, and I'm sure everybody has their favorite for Famous Funny Frazetta, because my favorite is actually the octopus cover.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You've said that.
I love that.
The other one I really like is when he's backing up Wilma and he's got the gun out and he's pointed towards towards you as the perspective.
I've got the whole run, but those all of them are like 7.5 or better, I think. But a couple of them are off of CGC, hopefully getting pressed and upgraded. We'll see. I know that's kind of not everybody's into that, but if I would love to have them all be 9.4s.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
that'd be nice. but this book that I'm about to show next is actually the book that got me into Golden Age Comics. I had not really been a Golden Age collector. I was kind of actually more into independent comics, and I liked stuff like The Crow and Concrete and then other like really obscure series like Kings in Disguise and all kinds of things I love stuff that has like a real character development. Artwork wise, I love McFarlane like everybody and Jim Lee. But what drew me into Golden Age actually was one day I saw a copy of this book on eBay. This was back like in 2013. And I thought, that is so cool. This is Phantom Lady, 18. This is a cover by Matt Baker. And this is, that run of Phantom Lady has some of the best good girl art in the history of comics, no doubt. And this one I just really was drawn to. And I think I won. It was a raw VG Plus that I won like $300 or something. And that was like that and Planet Comics 65, which I almost brought, which is another great cover. Were the two books that really got me.
I love Planet Comics. That was probably the one Golden Age series that if I had the money back when I was a kid, I would have I always loved the covers and the sci-fi and the girls and all that stuff.
They're the best, and I'm sure between now and September we'll have another talk about Planet Comics.
Oh, yes.
Because September, the signature auction, will have a complete run of Planet Comics.
That's going to be amazing.
Insane.
You have to think about crazy.
You have to think about how crazy that is.
To have the run, yes.
And it's not just any complete run. I mean, it's like a killer complete run. I mean, we're talking about like, I don't know, 6, 7 mile high copies, a bunch of different pedigrees.
We'll be able to show that off the next show.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But Matt Baker was like, okay, this guy really can draw, and that kind of brings us to what's coming up here.
Yeah.
August 18th, is it?
You tell me. You're the one who set it up.
Yeah, very shortly. You can go right on to our website and check it out. I think it's ha.com and just look right there.
What's the sale number?
40190.
Yeah, so ha.com /
40190.
40190.
Can we double check that? Because I don't have that off the top of my head.
Tommy can.
Okay. I just want to make sure I don't pull people over to some auction that's completely different. But it's going to be a killer auction with all kinds of Matt Baker books. And
40190.
Yes,
that is correct.
That is correct.
And
it's August 11th.
So you know why I can do that, people? The reason that I can remember 40190, even though I have no reason to remember that because there's a billion numbers running through my head here. is because I grew up before smartphones. and so as a kid,
Never thought about that.
you would
Yeah,
always
you had
have
to
to remember
memorize
everybody's
everybody's
phone numbers all the
Yes.
time. So numbers are just like in my head. I'm gonna start off like with a bang for this, talk about the Matt Baker auction. This book here is Giant Comics Edition 12. And in my opinion, there are, maybe 5 or 6 of what I would call the mega Baker books. The ones that are like,
But all of them are hard to find.
all of them are pretty hard to find. This is probably the hardest of all the mega Baker books. When you think about mega Baker, Phantom Lady 17 comes to mind first. But outside of that, you've got this book, you've got 7 Seas 4, you've got the one that's coming up next that I'm going to show you. You have a few different books that are just the top of the line. And Giant Comics Edition 12 is one that you just never seem to have an opportunity to get. I mean, I don't think a graded copy has been available for, 5 years, 4 years. It's been
Tommy, what's the census on that book? Can you see?
Giant Comics Edition 12.
Yeah.
So this
There's
is
a total of 14.
14. And believe me, 13 of them are being held tightly. and so this one here is an opportunity for you to pick it up. And I know this is going to be hotly contested. This is
Already is.
Yeah, this is. I think it's at 7,500 plus BP already. So this is a killer book, and I would definitely take each opportunity. This is
the one that everybody talks about.
Oh, it's a beautiful cover. Look at that cover.
Yeah, this is the Cinderella Love 25. This is the other Matt Baker book. This is the one that most people refer to as his great masterpiece and all this kind of thing. And I agree. I have a copy of this. I love this book. I used to have the highest graded copy of this book. And by the way, I used to have the highest graded copy of the book I just showed you before that.
He likes to say used to a lot.
Yeah, I do. It's a problem. But Cinderella Love 25. See what's beautiful about this is this cover presents nicely, but it's a opportunity to get one at a 1.5 for
That still looks nice.
This still looks nice
Yeah.
for far less than you would pay normally. So I think it's sitting around somewhere around 2,000 right now. I don't know whether this will end up at 3,000, 5,000, 6,000. I don't know. But it'll be an opportunity to have one at a
Not 25,000.
right.
And again,
Well,
the covers, you don't see any, because usually a 1.5 or 1.8, you see a lot of color creases and color breaks and stuff like that. The cover is perfect. It's perfect image.
And remember, these are not Rick's. These are actually on the website right now in the sale, the Matt Baker sale that's coming up on the 11th. So
On the
that's
11th?
Yes,
so
the 11th.
that's a week
Sorry, I
away.
said the 18th. My phone memory messed up. I said the 18th. It's the 11th, August 11th. And I will say that we also there was a magazine where they printed there was a painting that was done that was the inspiration really that he pulled from to make this.
Okay.
And we have the magazine where that was printed up for sale too. So,
That's great.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Liberty magazine, I believe, and it's in the auction as well. I think it's already at like $500. It's pretty rare. Now, when you think about Matt Baker, you think about good girl art, you think about romance, but
He did pre-code art.
You did, John?
yeah, he did do some, very limited amount of pre-code horror. And this is Amazing Ghost Stories 14 and the 6.5, which is a pretty high grade for this.
For any pre-code horror, 6.5 is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice, actually.
Yeah, and you see the situation with the woman in distress and these kind of creatures from the Black Lagoon, coming after her. And this is a tremendous book. We recently had the promise copy of this book, and I really, really wanted to win it. And it went for like 24,000 or something, just unbelievably high. And I was like kind of disappointed, but this is a good consolation prize for someone out there. And I know this one. I think this one's doing pretty well already too. It's a pretty great book.
$3,200 already.
Yeah. Now,
I don't know how many books did you put in the sale? It was like 150, 200?
yeah. It was about 170 something.
Trying to get 200 books of Matt Baker covers together is like trying to hold water.
And then getting Matt Baker art.
Like literally trying to scoop water and hold it in your fist. These books are so wanted by everybody that getting them to get one person or to get a whole sale together of just his artwork is very difficult.
It's extremely difficult, and you know, and the St. John publications had lower print runs,
Right.
And you know, so which is where a lot of the romance was done, was St. John publications, and later with Quality under the pseudonym Matt Bakerino, and you know what he did later.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Baker's an interesting story, and you know what? Before I show these last two, I just like to take a second and see if we can go to a video a little bit, tell you a little bit more about the Matt Baker auction that's coming up.
Heritage Auctions is proud to feature comic book artist Matt Baker in an upcoming showcase auction. Baker became a historically important creator at a time when superhero comics were on the decline. The name Matt Baker has become synonymous with beautiful women in comic book art, and his work on characters such as Rula and Phantom Lady has been in demand for decades. But like contemporaries such as Al Williamson and Jack Kamen, it was his overall skill as an artist and storyteller which allowed him to help elevate entire publishing companies out of historical obscurity. The fluid action on covers like Authentic Police Cases, the emotion on display on Diary Secrets and Cinderella Love, among others, and the drama so skillfully executed on titles like Teenage Romances, all made Baker's women more than just pretty faces. A historically important black comic book artist whose life was tragically short, the story of comic book history cannot be told without an appreciation for Matt Baker and his work. To learn more, visit ha.com/40190 for the August 11th sale.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we're good.
So last two I'm going to show you from the from this Matt Baker auction is Authentic Police Cases 6 in a 5.5. One of the classic covers with the girl being held from the train. Just it's about as good as his crime books get. The Authentic Police Cases run is really great. There's some fantastic covers.
Yes.
And then this is a Promise collection copy of 7 Seas 5 and 9.4.
We had that cover.
We did have that.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
that
so
was a beautiful cover.
I mean, that's just so you know, that's not a thing. That 9.4 for one of these books.
9.4 for Baker doesn't exist because he, again, that's from the time period of 1950 to 1955, where those books in that time
Look at those colors.
don't exist
Yeah, absolutely
in
phenomenal.
high grade.
Look at those colors.
Now, I'll tell you one more thing. The thing about this Matt Baker auction that is really unique too is that we actually have several original art pieces from Matt Baker.
Nice.
I mean, you guys, I am touching something that Matt Baker penciled. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And so right here we have Rangers 43, page 35. Beautiful piece, great, bondage, everything you want. You see a little bit of a
Punching.
Yeah, a little bit of a cat fight going on there. It's a whole thing. And, to have an opportunity to own Matt Baker original art, I'm happy enough in my life. I have 2 Matt Baker pieces, and gosh, I wouldn't mind having 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
Well, I got one in just after you started that auction, so I have
Yeah.
another one coming up for. I
Yeah.
don't even know where I put that. Oh, I put it in the signature stand.
Oh, really?
So it's in September.
That one that's in September is amazing too. These right here.
Not as good as that. But
No, these are
it's
pretty incredible.
Darn tootin' nice.
Yeah, I think that these to have Matt Baker original art is a ghost. It's hard to find, and I think that it seems to be a good investment. So I would highly recommend checking these out. They're pretty amazing. So I'm real excited about this Matt Baker auction, and very excited to be a part of presenting it.
Well, we
That's
appreciate
cool.
it. Well, that kind of goes into one of the last things we want to show you. I got this collection in, and Rick and I had been talking about it. I had it forwarded to me because one of our bosses, was in San Diego, and he's like, "Hey, can you call this guy?" And he had 7 pages from JLA 16, Justice League 16. Great pages, nice. And I'm like, yeah, we'll take that. He goes, well, we're having so much fun talking. I've got a page of Matt Baker art. Well, never going to turn away Matt Baker art. Yeah, I'll take that too. And he goes, well, what about 50 pages from Fiction House? And at that point, I lost my mind because I feel like I'm a detective at times. It's just trying to uncover what people have. People will not tell you what they have. You have to kind of ask questions. And so we got 50 pages of Fiction House art. And a lot of them are going to go into the Fiction House auction showcase, which is coming up. That's October, right?
I believe it is October.
So we still have time to get items in for that. But I brought a few of them just to kind of show you a few of my pages that not my pages, that I like, but pages that I like that I think will do well in this auction. And I may have to hold this in front of the camera here. Do you mind grabbing it for me? One of them is Conga 15. And a lot of people don't like... Tommy, can you go to the camera? There we go. Black Carpet of Death, as you can see, this is from Conga. And you can see the great pre-code horror kind of skull on it in the front, the great title splash, some great artwork. But this isn't a full twice up like the next one is, but it's close. It's real close. It's not.
It's large art.
It's large art.
What they call large art.
Oh, this next one. Oh,
I know. This one's a ghost page. This one Rick has lost his mind over because it's a ghost page. And there's a lot of Matt Baker influence in this. And while
for sure.
It's not Baker per se, it's definitely Baker.
I wonder if Bluth worked on that because he worked with Baker a lot and had a lot of the same kind of stylings to his art. It's really excellent. Somebody's asking
how much. They will start at $1.
What is the estimate?
Well, that's the problem with
Old
Fiction House.
yeah.
Is we were talking, it could go anywhere from $300 to $1,500. It's not crazy. It's not. That's kind of why we're highlighting these. They're not going to go so crazy that
I think that page might go a little higher.
maybe.
Again, with the nice girls on them and stuff like that, they tend to go to 1,500, 2,500. So
Like that Baker page, if that was Baker, if Baker drew that,
or attributed to.
oh my
Baker,
gosh,
that'd be
7 to 10 at least.
that would be a $10,000 page.
I think that would. I agree.
And for my last piece, I got this Fight 18 page.
Fairly early.
Fight 18. Think about that. And it's got, a girl running. And what I really like about this is the layout. It breaks the panel and goes into other panels a bunch. But that's kind of, the client said, well, I think I have a good eye.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Oh, yes, he does.
He did.
He has a great eye.
Every page
has something.
It was I've seen a few Fiction House little groupings before, and this was the best one I've seen. It was really.
That's saying a lot. Rick's seen a lot.
Those 50 pages had nice panels, nice images, nice women on them. It's like
We have some full stories.
Yes.
We have some splashes. There's
a title splash.
something for everybody.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It was a good collection. It was definitely a good collection.
So now we're at our question and answer. Do you guys have any questions for us? Anything out there? Anybody that's watching, we're here for you guys. Ask questions about the market. Ask questions about us. What we like, what we don't like. Anything that you guys want to throw at us, we're here for you. Anything, Tommy?
And if anybody's in the Chicago area,
forgot about
C2E2 is coming up, and our Heritage office in Chicago has a reception preview tonight, and you can also go preview some other pieces after tonight. Make an appointment and go to the offices. But there is a reception tonight where you can see a setup tomorrow night. Okay, tomorrow night where you can see a setup of comic art that's going to be in the auction, comics that are going to be in the auction.
They're gonna have some hors d'oeuvres and food
and stuff like that, and you can go, and I think Matt McGee, which is our comic representative, will be there, and you can hang out and talk to him about comics and comic art. So
yeah,
have any questions and stuff like that. So.
Planning on going.
Oh, that'd be great.
And then after that, you can go to C2E2. So.
Right.
What was the date on
August 4th, I think, is the reception, but C2E2, I think, is this weekend. Or
Right,
Yeah,
C2E2 is this weekend,
So.
and then the preview, you can go any business time.
Yes.
While the Chicago office is
yeah, it's
open.
ready
During
now.
the-
You can actually go now.
Yes.
But tomorrow night's from 6:30 to 9:30, I believe, is the reception. For the
reception,
booth.
yes. And again, Matt, you can talk to Matt and have any questions he can answer.
Yeah, Matt McGee, our colleague,
Yeah.
he's a great guy.
So.
I actually love going on shows with him.
Yeah, he's
I'd
great.
rather actually go on a show with him than go with you. Just saying.
Oh, the feeling's mutual.
Well, we sit next to each other the whole time. No, we all get along really well here. Can you
Yes.
tell? We all interlock. That we've
Yeah.
kind of found that it's really weird when Jerry Steffen, he knows so much about DC. He's probably the foremost expert on DC of
Particularly
DC,
Batman.
more so than DC knows.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
sure you're right.
he knows. If you have a DC question, you ask Jerry.
Or Batman question.
If you ask any Batman,
Yes.
Yeah,
Jerry knows.
I'm not kidding you. Jerry's the kind of guy that you can go up and say, so what was Bruce Wayne's cousin's name?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, well, I think in Batman 162.
he would rattle that off.
I mean, really, he's an encyclopedia of DC knowledge for sure.
It is pretty amazing.
Again, we all fill in each other's
Needs. I would say
needs
needs.
or non-expertise.
Sure.
So,
It's amazing how that works.
and
The
as-
puzzle comes together.
and as
The
a
heritage
team,
auction.
yeah, and it's a team.
It's good.
It's second to none, pretty much.
And hey, just while we got one more second, we are having a convention here, believe it or not.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot about
The summit is happening. The summit at Heritage, November 11th and 12th. It'll be the first time Heritage has had a Comic Con at Heritage. It's going to be in our gallery where it's very limited. I think they're only going to let like 300 people come. But you want to go to thecollectorssummit.com. It's not us. We are not putting it on. We're just
hosting.
We're just hosting
hosting
it. But so it's someone else's convention. We're just hosting it, and we're going to have some items for preview at that time. And so I think that you want to go to collectorssummit.com and check that out.
And we'll be bringing that up more as we go along.
Yeah,
And you can see
I think
our
it's going to sell
facilities.
out fast. That's why I
Yeah.
was saying.
And you can see the facilities. Anybody that's here can.
Yeah, we're planning tours and everything.
Yeah.
Laura 88 would like to know each of your favorite comics. That might be a tough one, but you got one.
Wow, I grew up with Spider-Man, so I always felt there was something that connected to me with Peter Parker, and I always wanted to be the hero, and I always wanted to do good, and it's really weird. If I play video games and have that choice between good and evil, not many people know this. I physically get ill if I do bad. I cannot do. I don't know if I had a problem in a former life, but I cannot do bad. It still eats on my conscience. So Peter Parker was kind of my guy, but I love pre-code horror stuff now.
And you like Mr. Sinister.
And
You like
Mr.
all the bad
Sinister.
guys.
I like the bad guys just as the rogue gallery. I like to be Batman. I have a great rogue gallery. Spider-Man has some of the best rogues, in existence.
Again, a lot of people know my favorite character. It would be Daredevil. Again, my name being Xavier, I liked a lot of X-Men. But once I found Daredevil and the whole play on blind justice, the Lady Justice, I thought it was just, again, genius. And that took from there. And but my favorite story of all time would be V for Vendetta. I love that story.
Great story. Great movie.
I read that and I was just like, wow, this is actually happening. And then it just continues. This was written in the 80s, and everything there is pretty much like foreshadowed what happened in society. So
Those are good ones.
it's crazy.
For reading, for me, reading comics, I think that I like Concrete, which is a Dark Horse comic. It's a very
Paul Chadwick.
Paul Chadwick. And I like Silver Surfer from the 80s and 90s because I guess I'm kind of drawn to these lonely introspective characters, So I like those for reading. From the standpoint of artwork, if I had to pick one single title, I mean, it would have to be Planet Comics. I just think that Planet Comics has that science fiction, good girl, horror, or monster mix, all kind of put together in a really cool way.
Perfect way. Yeah. That is true. That's again, I always love the Planet.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the question. Any more?
Yeah, we got another one. Tyler Mueller asked, what do you think will happen to the golden age book market when the older generation ages out.
I don't think it'll go
Other
anywhere.
than Action One.
No, because I think there will always be Batman and Superman collectors. There will always be people who go backwards and look. Now, will it be as popular? I don't know, because everything is generational, but it's not going to disappear.
It's not, again, like we're talking right now. I love Planet Comics, and if I had enough funds to get a Planet Comics run, I'd definitely do it. It's not something I particularly grew up with, but learning the history of it,
Right.
and just again being attracted to the art and being attracted to just the science fiction part of it. It's something I would buy. Again, I wouldn't buy Westerns particularly, so.
Right.
But
And Instagram has actually helped that market more than harmed it, because a
100%.
lot younger of a crowd
Yeah.
are collecting Golden Age now.
Very much so.
Because they get to show off all these historical pieces. So going anywhere? No.
No, I agree. I've been a part of several groups of people who talk about Golden Age, and I'd say the median age is probably like 38.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so
It's very young right
yeah, it really has changed.
again,
now. It's not 70 like you would think.
the golden age, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna just collect golden age." It's like people. I think my generation or younger is not gonna they're gonna collect golden age, silver age, modern stuff. But there'll be certain subgenres, like I said, Planet Comics, or I like, for example, particular covers with particular artists that I like, and I'll buy that if I find it an opportunity to do so. Like one of the things that I talk with Brian all the time is I like treasure chests. I always wanted to be Indiana Jones or find treasure. And there's a lot of I've recently found out there's a lot of covers where there's a treasure chest in there, or a bag of gold, or a guy
You
just
just see
came.
an eye patch and a parrot. and you're good.
So again, Golden Age is not going to go away, because I think my generation and people that like history and stuff like that are going to find us something in those comics that are going to attract them to as a collector. Because as collectors, we just look for something to collect.
Right.
We can't just.
If it runs out, we will find.
We'll
more
find
stuff.
something, and it's just like there's a lot of collectors that will collect something and create this great collection, like Vaughn with the Pre-Code Horror, and he collected everything he could, and then he sold it, and now he's getting into something else.
Right.
He's using those funds to collect another thing, because we joke about it all the time, but collecting is almost like a disease.
It is.
It's
an addiction.
It's a compulsion that you have inside that it's just like
You're famous for that. Sell stuff off, really regret it, and get it back.
Yeah, I've actually bought the same things back later. You know,
it's a compulsion. You have to look for something else to collect that you like. So.
Okay, guys, we are pressed for time, but we thank you very much for the questions. Thank you for joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks. So if you guys join us then and have more questions, we'll be more than happy to take them, or leave a post on either Instagram or the YouTube channel, and we can answer them there also. But thank you very much for joining us. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for Rick for coming on.
Thank you very much.
We actually really enjoyed having you.
Yeah.
It was a
great.
great show with you.
Had fun.
I am Brian Wiedman,
I'm Xavier,
and we will see you in 2 weeks with another edition of the Gavel Strikes.
and with
Thank
the
you.
signature stuff.
Signature stuff, yeah.